Velocity Frequent Flyer are making a lot of changes to their program this year. Late last year, I caught up with Velocity CEO Nick Rohrlach to discuss these changes. By the way, let me know in the comments if you notice anything different about me. Nick, thanks for joining me. Now, there hasn't been many changes to Velocity this year, so I'm not sure why I'm here really. But no, I thought I'd start out with a joke because there's obviously been quite a lot of changes to Velocity. So the Velocity program. So I thought I'll start off with a broad question and then we can delve deeper. So how would you summarise the changes overall?
Well, I've been here a few years, as you know, Dan, and the number one thing that people used to email me about was, I've got X number of status credits, 2,000 or 3,000, but there's nothing else for me. What else is there? And a lot of people have wanted either a sort of a lifetime sort of recognition or a stage beyond platinum. So I'm really proud that these changes particularly give that.
Excellent. I was going to ask about that later on, but I may as well ask it now, given you brought it up. So a positive move is the introduction of both Forever Gold and that Platinum Plus tier, which is that step up above Platinum. So what was the thinking behind that? Was it just that was a huge request, or were you looking at competitors, etc.?
Yeah, but it really was anchored around what customers are asking. So as I said, lots of people emailed me, but then we did a lot of surveys and focus groups as well. And I think we did a survey of our elite flyers, and over 50% selected lifetime recognition as their number one goal. And in fact, top three was 82% of people said that. So it was really clear that this was the thing that people really wanted. So, we're here for our members, so we gave them what they want.
Excellent. Now, this is an impromptu question. Will there be a Forever Platinum at one point in time?
Well, okay, we've been some say it's taken us years to get Forever Gold. Let's get that actually writing out there first.
It's never too early to start the questions.
No, but at this stage, our focus absolutely is on Forever Gold. Yeah. And as I said, the feedback from everyone was overwhelming. That's where they wanted us to focus. It's really a sweet spot, I think.
Sure, absolutely. And status credits is a way to earn those tiers. So the way we can earn status credits going forward is changing. It's moving more to a spend-based approach, which in our calculation favours those members that are high spenders on your own domestic and international short-haul flights, which does make sense, obviously. But is it a fair statement to say that your focus is predominantly on these members over those, for example, that may choose the cheaper fares or who may fly with your international partners a lot, but may not fly domestically?
I'm sure most of your viewers would see too that we're trying to run a business here that works really well for everybody, and we're really trying to focus on obviously the people who are most loyal to us. In fact, actually in those focus groups too, it was really great. People very supportive of us as a business and really proud to see Virgin come out of administration and really flourishing now. But of course, everyone wants us to invest in new things, and so making sure that we have obviously the right members in the tiers really helps with that, sort of in terms of going forward, investing then in the proposition further, but also really making sure that when people, for example, there are upgrades and that sort of stuff, people want to see that the most loyal members are rewarded there because they want to have great access to that.
The changes to any program of this scale especially will have winners and losers. So I've sort of highlighted, let's say, those members that do fly internationally a lot. So you've got Etihad, who is going out of the program. You've got Singapore Airlines, code shares to Europe are ending, although the redemption side, my understanding is that won't change. The international partner redemption costs are slightly increasing, and the status credit earned for international flying as well is going to be slightly reduced, even on Virgin Australia code share flights. So given that those members that fly internationally are likely to be in the loser category, if I could put it that way, what would your message be to these types of Velocity members to stick with Velocity rather than look at the competition? And also the charge that may be levelled against Virgin, that is that they don't take international long haul seriously.
Sure. So there's a lot in that, Dan.
Yeah,
I guess
the
first thing is that nearly 90% of our members who earn on air earn on VA. Right, and so most of people who fly with us actually really love us because of our domestic fare proposition. We have a great network, one of the best out there, great value fares, and of course a lounge proposition that supports that as well. That's the core of our business, and so obviously these changes really anchor around that. We do have these fantastic international partners, and of course you called out many of those. And so that's a great add-on to our domestic network for those who also fly there. And so that's what we've reflected in this. You mentioned the changes to the status credits. I think people can do their own sums, but you look at, for example, a Sydney LA, the number of status credits that we award, even after these changes, will be significantly above our competition. So we're still very fast to earn status. Those international flights help on top of your VA earn as well. And of course, we allow those to be earned either on VA metal or on our partner code share services too. So it's very flexible there, and is still very, very rewarding even after these changes. On top of that, then you mentioned, for example, some of the partnership changes as a result of the proposed Qatar investment. And look, we don't take anything for granted. There's a lot of approvals still to be gone through there. But one of those, for example, you did mention that Etihad will be leaving the program, which is a great shame. After 14 years, we've had great partnerships there. But obviously, Qatar is an amazing airline. Many of our members have flown it a lot already. It's an excellent product. And of course, with these new extra long-haul services, the VA services using Qatar metal, that will be an even better option for our customers to use there. And of course, Qatar has such a huge network beyond Doha, so it's a really great way to get to Europe, to Africa, and other points beyond.
Yeah, wonderful. And another impromptu question, but it made me think about it. I know there's still a lot of approvals and things that need to happen. If it does go through, so the legs, let's say from Sydney to Doha, Melbourne to Doha, etc., they'll be like Virgin Australia flights, right? So things such as upgrades would be possible, is that correct?
Yeah, so there'll be Virgin Australia services, obviously operated by Qatar at the start, and we're still working through what the proposition will look like there. Also, as I said, because there are a lot of approvals, we're not taking anything for granted. At this stage, we can't fully cooperate with Qatar until we have approvals. So I'd expect that when we first launch them, it'll be a quick launch after to go on sale as quickly as possible, and then over time, additional changes will be coming through. Upgrades, I know, is one of the things that people will be looking for the most, and don't worry, that's not lost on us. Even if that's not there at the start, that's the sort of thing we can roll out over time as well.
I do miss my long haul Virgin Australia upgrades, so hopefully that will come in the near future. Look, for the international flying, there still remains a bit of inconsistencies with regards to what benefits you get amongst the airline partners. Some may offer priority check-in and priority boarding, some may just offer lounge access, some may offer all. If you fly on, let's say, Virgin Australia metal to Bali as a high-tier member, you mightn't get lounge access at all. So given that, do you see these inconsistencies as an issue, especially since most of your travel members travel domestically? And do you see them also as a bit of a barrier to some Velocity members seeking those high tiers, Gold, Platinum or Platinum Plus, given the inconsistencies in some of the benefits provided?
Yeah, look, as you know, Dan, we've got lots of great partners. So you've got obviously United to the Americas, you've got Singapore Airlines through Asia, and Qatar, of course, through to Europe. Then, of course, the likes of ANA, Air Canada, South African as well. That's an amazing lineup. And of course, Air New Zealand's about to join that lineup too. That's 3 of the top 4 Skytrax airlines in the world. So really awesome partners. As you say, though, one of the things that we know that is that there's a little bit of inconsistency across that offer. There are bilateral arrangements in place with each of those airlines. We're trying to standardise as much as possible, and I promise everyone that we will keep trying to standardise it further. Because look, we don't want it ever to be a barrier. We don't want anyone to think that there's any complexity in this, even if there is at the moment. So we'll keep trying to make that as easy as possible, because we do try to make our proposition easier. You mentioned, of course, on the international on our own services. Again, that's another source of inconsistency there too. So again, we're mindful of that. And look, as we go forward, with the new tiers we've talked about, as I said, one of the key reasons for that was to help us be able to make further investments in the future. But also we are trying to make our programs easy. So we'll over time try and improve that.
Yeah. So you know where I was leading with this question, because I'll get killed if I don't ask this question. Is a global alliance still ever an option on the table, or can that be fully cut out as a realistic option going forward?
Look, we've looked at it, and there's big benefits to joining an alliance. There's also big costs as well. And of course, we've got both Star Alliance and oneworld airlines now as partners, and we've got plenty of non-aligned partners as well. And so, just at this stage, we never rule anything out for the long term. But we're very focused on making this set of partners work for us.
Sure, absolutely. Look, given the scale of these changes, is it right to assume we won't be seeing any major changes or any changes in the near future with Velocity? Yep.
No, I'm hoping to keep improving things as we have with this. So, as I mentioned before, These changes were inspired by questions from our members, the focus groups we did, and we're constantly out there doing research. We've had a series of members in our offices recently as well. Obviously, there's a lot to implement in these changes, but we're already out there talking to our members and listening to see what next as well. And so hopefully it's not the last of the changes. Obviously, these are some of the really biggest demanded ones, but there's a series of other ideas that our members float to us, and hopefully we can find a place for those.
Wonderful. And the last question, look, it's a sort of a free kick sort of question. It'll take as long as you need to answer it, but why choose Velocity?
Great. Well, I mentioned before that it's one of the best ways to be rewarded for your flying in terms of the speed to get to status. Is unbeatable. Whether that be the family pooling, our thresholds are just a little bit lower, all these great partners. And of course, we also allow members to be rewarded not just for their flying, but also the likes of some of our credit cards and of course Flybys, shopping at Coles and the like. So that's a really rewarding experience and is quite differentiated in the market from others. And then of course we have by far the best redemption options as well. So you have a look, obviously a lot of intention about our international partners, but most of our redemptions are of course on VA, and we've just made those even lower. So we've lowered that even further now, just starting at 5,900. And frankly, in tougher economic times, that really makes a difference. It allows people to get to reward much faster, take the whole family to the Gold Coast for a much better value than on other experiences. You've got this great onboard VA, Virgin Australia product experience in terms of this wonderful staff and the product on board. So that's a pretty unbeatable deal.
Yeah, and being a Gold Coast person, we welcome all the money into our economy, and Virgin helping with
Absolutely.
that, 'cause you've got a very good schedule to the Gold Coast. Look, that's it from me. So thank you for your time, Nick.
Great, thanks, Dan.
For more tips on how to earn Velocity points and take advantage of these changes, make sure to subscribe to this channel.